the cloud. Okay, very cool. So guys, welcome to the class. Good thing I didn't get that in recording the game from James, but yeah, so basically welcome. Like I said, just for the sake of the recording, it's day 2 of the class. And today we're gonna go over syllabus, Canvas, and name card design. If we have enough time, we may also start to talk to everyone on camera for about 1 minute to 2 minutes, depending. So, be ready for the possibility of turning on your camera and introducing yourself to the class. So there is a slight possibility that's going to happen. We might not get to everyone tonight. So just wanted to throw that out there and warn you guys in case, you gotta get all freshened up and all that good stuff, right? So I apologize in advance, ladies, if you're at home. But we may potentially get into that. Okay, so just wanted to go over that really quick. Also, before I forget, if you want to add the class and you have not received an add code, please email me. Between now and next week to basically request the add code so I can put you on the list. So there's a few folks I want to add. And today we have about 21 students or so. I think the cap is 24, and some students may or may not change depending on first day. I've seen students that have participated in the class and said, oh, I'm actually more intermediate, so I don't want to really take the intro class because that's super intro. It's very, very foundations, and I really need something that's a little bit more intermediate or advanced. So that could happen, right? And again, no judgment on anyone that changes their mind. Or they realize there's a work schedule issue or conflict. Again, no judgment on you. It's typically students shift and shuffle. And if this is your first year or first semester of college, you tend to see that more often than not. Okay. And as a matter, and let me just kind of poll the class. How many of you guys, this is first year of college? Just a thumbs up emoji there, just out of curiosity. First year college students out there? Okay. Okay, very cool. So we got about 3 there. Okay. How many guys, okay, and how many of you guys that are first year are coming from high school? Like you graduated high school within the last year to 2 years, let's say within 3 years to account for the pandemic. Okay, cool. So we have some recent grads. Okay, very cool. All right, awesome. And how many guys of you would say this is your first semester? Like this is the very first semester of college there. So first semester ever of college, doing everything out there. Wow, okay, there's a few of you guys. Okay, so I would say about a quarter of you, about 25% of you guys are new. Okay, very cool. Any second semester students out there? This is your first year / second semester. There, you can give me a thumbs up. Okay, we got a couple folks out there. Very cool. All right, and how many of you guys out there are returning to college and but you've been working? Maybe you've graduated 3, 4, 5 plus years ago, and you decided to come back to college to kind of refresh your skills, maybe update your skills when it comes to some technologies and things of that sort. Okay. Very cool. All right, so we got a good couple of you guys out there as well. Okay, very cool. All right, and then how about sophomores? Any sophomores out there, second year college students out there? Give me a thumbs up emoji if that's you. We'd love to see that. Okay, third year, any third year students? Okay. Okay, very cool. We got a couple of third years right there. All right, do I push it? Any part-time students hitting 4 years? Because I know part-time can take you up to 4 years and not 2 years full-time. So part-time could take you 3 to 4 years. So any part-timers out there going to about maybe 4 years on the rank? It's totally fine.
I don't really know what category I stand in. I just got my business AA, but I'm just doing like graphic design for extra.
Okay.
So like third year, I guess.
Okay, so you got that AA through Rio Was it within the last couple of years there?
Last semester, this past spring.
Okay, great. So you're kind of going for a different certificate, or just kind of exploring, it sounds like?
Right,
or possibly a little bit of both?
This exploring part.
Okay, yeah. Then there's definitely students out there that can do that. Yeah, this would kind of be like exploring. Some students will call it a minor, you know, like if you went for a 4-year, got a bachelor's, this would kind of be like a minor, or maybe even a second degree, so to speak. So yeah, there's some students, anyone exploring or in Alexa's position where they kind of got their AA, but they really felt like they needed to take a class that just they couldn't like get away from. It kind of calls to them, or they really just wanted to know what it was like before going out into the world, as it were. I kind of did that myself. I did a sound design class before graduating from college, Cal State Northridge, and the professor was really kind for me to jump in and like participate, even though I wasn't in his class. So a little bit of a music background, and it was in the, like movie sound design, and because I wanted to know if it was graphic or if it was sound related, if I had one or the other. I appreciated it, but I think I had just a little bit more skills when it came to visual, and I felt like visual had a little bit more opportunities than sound. But it was fascinating to be a part of that. So I saw a lot of interesting connections there. Okay. All right, and for a few of you guys, yeah, you're returning in some way, shape, or form, or starting. Either way, welcome to the class. Like I said, guys, it's so happy to have you just come back, you know, with the pandemic and everything, and kind of move forward. For my first year college students, I didn't mention this, but I teach a high school class. So my Rio Hondo job is my night class. Is kind of like a part-time job. I teach part-time. I'm adjunct faculty, but I teach full-time high school at a private school in Pasadena, and I teach and run the engineering, so the computer-aided design and engineering program there. So I teach 3D modeling and engineering and materials, and not too different from graphic design, but I do show all my students in engineering first semester is graphic design, basically. So because 3D modeling actually starts 2-dimensional, and it actually ends up going into 3D. So it actually starts off with sketching and drawing, believe it or not, using similar tools as Illustrator, and then it evolves into 3D. So you know, I started playing around with like 3D printing, and because of my product design experience at Disney, you know, that field kind of fascinated me because Disney had a 3D printer. So I have this weird career where it's like I had graphic design, and then the graphics was 2-dimensional on a 3-dimensional product, if that makes sense, which turned into like the structure of the 3-dimensional product, which then ended up being like, what is the physics and the pressures and the forces of that product, / then it led to, can you create graphics for architecture and structures and things like that. And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And then next thing you know, it's kind of like computer-aided design, and then turned into now like engineering, which is more material science. So it's a crazy field, and it's funny because in high school I was actually I wanted to go to Caltech when I was in high school, but I didn't qualify because the math wasn't up there. So I ended up going into like graphic design, but I always kind of wanted to do something related to the sciences. So it's kind of weird that like I'm down the street from Caltech now, and I teach high school near Caltech in Pasadena. So it's weird and it's odd, but it's funny how things turn out, right? So so I run a program there, and but I still love teaching graphic design, no joke. You know, it's one of those things that just I keep coming back to. It's my roots, it's my foundation. And for some of you guys, it's going to be your roots, your foundation, and it could turn into something else, right? Like the paths and the disciplines cross in so many weird and interesting and really wonderful ways, where you start off as a designer and you could end up, you know, in business. So like Alexa, you're saying you want to get into, you're doing design, but you know, design and business are pretty intimately related, and you can see a lot of companies like really take a serious look at design for their business. And I think technology is probably the best example of that, right? A lot of, you know, innovative companies do take into account business, but more often than not, they also put design with as much level of importance as business strategy, right? In some instances, the design fuels the innovation, which then which markets itself and actually saves money on marketing, which is kind of interesting. So like Apple would not, if you ever do a study on Apple computers, because I'm a big Apple geek, Apple never spends much. They don't put millions of dollars in their advertising, at least for the first few years of its existence. In the 90s and the 2000s, they put a lot of effort in innovating the product, which sold itself because the innovation was the marketing, if that makes sense. And then so you see that more now in Tesla, right? I think Tesla is probably the biggest one that does that. Every new thing they come out with is automatically news on the news, right? Oh, so we have a new Model 3, it's faster. Oh, innovation, new car, boom, hits the front page. They didn't have to spend any marketing dollars for that. And so therefore, if you put more money on the product and just making a kick-ass quality product, then it will, and be first in class, it will sell itself when you release a new product. It's just really hard to do, but it's not impossible. But you have a good team, you have good thinkers, you ask the right questions, you can do some pretty cool stuff. But they're thinking like designers, right? They look at the problem, they try over, they analyze, test, prototype, iterate, and then they come out with something great. That's a design thinking method. And so much of what the world is doing today in the area of technology really has to come back to the arts. And they say Da Vinci was one of the most innovative, was the Renaissance man, the most innovative person out there. Da Vinci did engineering specs and buildings and drawings and designs and everything. So those worlds cross very well. So if you're doing business there, Alexa, and you're jumping in and trying it out, you're thinking in the right direction, because I've had students that actually taken my course that have sort of made a pit stop in my class before they went on to transfer. And I just got an email from one student in business that's focusing on sports business. Beautiful email. It just said that this was the best class, right? And so it really opened his mind to a lot of things that he was hoping to achieve, or just made him think different in a time which was very challenging, right?
That's awesome.
So so I'm a big believer in business, the cross between business and design. I don't think they're separate entities. I think they're actually similar. But of course, this class will get focused more on the design aspect and dip into a little bit of the business side as well. So you'll I think it's day 3. I think next week we'll be talking about the value-based design, or value-based pricing. And we'll talk about the business and the numbers and how to value a client and what to charge. In short, you want to charge, upper hundreds to the thousands for small, mid, and larger clients, right? And you're pricing according to the value of the company and not on your hourly. So the prices vary. So we'll talk about that. Okay. All right. Let me go rewind there, because I'm going off track a little bit. Tonight, guys, we're going to go over a couple things. We definitely are going to design this evening. We're going to get down to the name card design. We're going to go over the syllabus, and we'll basically go over Canvas and just see how everything kind of works and how to navigate the systems. Okay. So we're going to break that down and set that up and move forward, give you some time to design and sort of design your cards, to which then we get to meet everyone and get a little bit of feel and flow for the class. Okay. So we're going to go over that. Let's start off with the Canvas system. And I'm going to first mention right out the get-go is that Canvas is available for your mobile device. So so if you have a cell phone, which most of us do, and pretty much all of us do, you can actually access Canvas on the Canvas Student mobile app, which is available for iPhone, iOS, and also for Android. So it's really helpful because one, you don't have to be on your desktop necessarily to review videos, see what's coming up in the class, read messages and whatnot. It's just helpful if you're on the go, like most of our students are. I would say a good percentage of our students are basically working and then taking the class as soon as they get home from work, or God forbid, you're at work taking the class, because I don't want you to get fired. But at some level, we have some part-time or full-time folks that are working and taking the class in the evening. If that's the case, I do understand that you got to be on the go, and the Canvas mobile app is very helpful for that, right? I have it for teacher and for student side, and basically when I get a notification or you send me a message through Canvas, the app does notify me and say, hey, this posted, hey, the student has a question. So it shows up like notifications. And so it's a very helpful tool and app for the classroom. So I highly recommend it. It's free to download. So definitely check it out. You can log in the same way as you would with your Real Hondo email. Okay. So that's the first thing I'll say, so you can access that system. Now, the way I set up Canvas is actually meant to be easy for mobile. What do I mean by that? If you, like I said last week, the Canvas system basically operates, or the way I set up my Canvas class is very similar to just a list, right? A lot of teachers have different modules. There's buttons on the left-hand side, right? I set up my Canvas very simple. The navigation is really just composed, and I'll use my arrow here, of 3 buttons, right? You have your home button, which is basically your list. So think of this page as your home. The home will always be a drop-down list of the week by week modules and lessons, okay? And so you will always have lessons built into it, okay? We always have a discussion question, an activity, and then after that we will have a video. So obviously orientation is not that, but normally you would see a discussion post. I would say the activity and the videos is the more often things you will see in the weeks, right? So you'll always see an activity or assignment, which is our project, which can last a week to 2 weeks or 3 or 4, depending. And then we have a video that gets posted 24 to 48 hours. So if you saw a posting like an hour ago, that was day 1, right? And we'll go over that in just a couple of seconds. And then there'll be a discussion post, and the discussion post is basically like, you know, warm-ups, do-nows, as they call them in high school. They're just basically things to get you thinking, and so the discussions are there. So it's really broken down into discussion, activity, and then a video of the course that following day, okay? Like I said, in no means do not show up, right? You wanna show up and be present. But if there's something that happens, life happens, you gotta be away for whatever day or 2 or an emergency. The videos are there to support you so that you can review them, pause, play, review certain sections, everything of that sort, right? And I've kept pretty much a good year's worth of material and content. So if you want to get an advanced peek at what we talked about for the following week, then I could send you in advance a video for the what we did that week for the last semester, if that makes sense, right? So you can get information ahead of time if you're going to be out of town from content that I used last semester, if that makes sense, right? So if you're going to be out of town, you're like, what are we going to do? Am I going to miss anything? It's like, you know what? If you really want to know, I'll give you what I used last semester because it's the same material, right? But obviously, you know, we were in the pandemic, so I might mention a couple of things there about related to the pandemic. But either way, everything gets posted, okay? So that's the navigation. So home equals week by week, activities, videos, and discussions, right? And it's all drop down, and it's a drop down menu there. This is very mobile friendly. So if you were to click onto this on your app, then it would show up on the list and nothing gets lost. And that's really nice to have, okay? The other thing that is really important that students want to know is their grades, right? So all we have are just 3 buttons: home, grades, and we'll talk about Wellness Central. But the grades are there to track your grades and see how you're doing. So what's my grade in the class? What do I need to do, professor? And what's my grade in the class? That's pretty much the top 2 questions, right? So when you click onto those grades, it'll basically say the activity, when it's due, status, score, and out of what number of points it might be, okay? So you'll always see that with a grand total on the bottom, and that'll give you the most current information on your grade. So you will know week by week how you're doing based on your grade, and that's under the grades tab. So I made it very easy to navigate this site: home, assignments, discussions, activities, right? Videos of the assignments, and then it's grades. How am I doing? What's my grade? And how's my performance? So it's very easy to operate, okay? It's meant to be very user-friendly, okay? The third thing I added during the pandemic, which is I still keep, is Wellness Central, okay? Now the reality is that you know, people of color have been heavily impacted by the pandemic. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, I'm part of that group, right? And so you may be like me, one of those people that is a little triggered when it comes to certain things post-pandemic, right? And if that's the case, right, if there's things that may be distracting your mindset, or maybe there's just something that you haven't worked out that you really need to talk to someone over, if you go to Wellness Central, then Rio does offer resources for wellness, okay? And Wellness Central is basically resources for online, telephone, and even in person, which is really, really helpful. One of my personal values is wellness. And so anything that is, I can't focus if I'm not right if I'm not right, if that makes sense, right? I can't progress until I'm actually good on the inside. And so for me, Wellness Central should be on every page. And I believe more teachers should be talking about this more than anything. And you may have heard it at one point or another, but this is basically the format, okay? How does this work? Well, when you go down to Wellness Central, it takes you to the California Community College's website. And California Community College is basically the main organization that runs all the community colleges throughout Southern California or California. And you basically go down and you say, hey, I'm a student. What's your college? So then maybe we can get some resources specific to you. We'll just select Rio Hondo here. Enter Wellness Central. And when you enter, it'll give you a series of modules and some things that you could do for the pandemic. You could text COURAGE to 741-741, and you'll get information to a crisis hotline, right? So that's like the emergency hotline, as it were, right? It's completely free. We get to talk to someone live, and they'll contact you. There's modules here on self-care during the pandemic, and when you click onto it, you can get information regarding a lot of different areas: how to practice self-care during the coronavirus pandemic and everyday health. These are videos to kind of guide you through that. Science-based strategies to cope with corona anxiety, good housekeeping, mindfulness sites like calm.com, Headspace. We try to make it a one-stop shop for resources on just how to get better mentally, physically, spiritually, and even financially. So if you're having some financial difficulties, I know that the college does offer scholarships throughout the year to pay for cost and things of that sort. We have a pantry where students can pick up food if maybe for whatever reason you can't afford groceries, or you just tight on cash and need to eat. We do have resources available, and the pantry is there for students that are having some issues even when it comes to eating. And you can pick up food free, no questions asked. We'll give you a bag and you're ready to rock, okay? So those are all there for you for free, and there is no judgment on anybody that asks, okay? So if you want to email me, and talk about specific things, if you want to send me private messages regarding these things, or even meet privately, during office hours, then I am more than happy to speak with you, okay? And I'm not just throwing it out there. I am also talking to somebody on how I cope, because as a teacher, I was working during COVID, obviously, and I saw more issues than not, and that takes a toll on you when you're trying to play counselor, teacher, supporter to teenagers, to adults, and to your own family. It does take a toll, and anyone that's a parent can probably relate, and anyone that works with youth can relate. So yeah, I took a very long break, and I'm still working out certain things, because in my head, I still have some anger issues about the whole fact that we're not talking enough about the people of color that have died from this virus, that are the greater number, if that makes sense, right? So, I mean, the percentages are crazy high for Hispanics and Blacks that died of COVID. And that's like a lot of people. That's like almost, hundreds of thousands of people, right? And if you do the demographics, predominantly Black and Hispanic, and that I have a problem with that. And so I'm working that out. I talked to somebody about that. I'm a social justice guy, I guess I'm turning into. And so for me, I really feel like, the pandemic has opened up inequalities and shown their ugly faces that we've all felt for so long. but now it's really taken that level. So I guess I'm talking more about social justice and just trying to bridge the gap. And I think that's also part of the reason why I still teach at Rio, because I want to make sure I'm a first generation, graduate in my family, right? Went to college, first one in my family, first generation to do that with my brother and I. So I have a passion for first generation students, you guys, and I want to make sure that you guys get the same level of care and support that I did when I was going to college, right? I didn't know everything, but someone guided me through that. So think of me as like your mentor and someone that can kind of point you in the right direction and help you kind of process things here and there, okay? Feel free to do that. But like I said, Wellness Central is an amazing place, and you can go online. It has so many different resources available for students, and you can check it out. I'm trying to think if there's anything specifically that I wanted to highlight in Wellness Central. There are modules, and those modules focus on things like emotional wellness, social, physical, academic, financial, and spiritual wellness, okay? And so it is a place for educational purposes, but if you wanted to find out something about financial wellness and what's that all about, then it goes into further depth into those 6 dimensions of wellness. And financial wellness could be housing support, hunger, or just how to manage your finances. And so if I open this module here for just a quick second, it'll provide you with a video that talks a little bit about work and finances, where you can learn more about financial success, financial wellness for students, and even where to find help closest to you with centers that offer mental health centers near you for free or online, and even additional resources, right? So they try to put everything in one place, and I would take a look at it when you have some free time. If you have any issues or curiosities about anything, it's there, okay? So it's very, very helpful. And if I understand correctly, the college does offer also counseling in person on campus. So if it's one of those things we need to talk to somebody in person, then be on the lookout. I believe the counseling center hired some psychologists, and these psychologists are trying to promote some time or walk-ins for students to kind of talk over things that might be troubling them, bothering them, or just issues overall regarding mental health. So if there is something that's available, or you're curious about and want to learn more, feel free to email me. I'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction. Okay, so I want to make sure that everyone is good all across the board, not only in their careers, but also mentally. And, I'm just going to call it in advance. I'm pretty sure that in about 10 years or less, there will be a COVID disability law, which will basically state that those that have been disabled by the virus should get some type of compensation for it. So I'm calling it early. I'm almost certain that there will be something like a PTSD thing, similar to like the military has PTSD for those that serve. I think we're gonna need. I'm predicting we'll probably have something like that in the near future for folks that have been impacted heavily by COVID. They should be compensated for that, but that's another topic, right? All right, so moving on. So we have Wellness Central. If that works for you guys, you can give me a little thumbs up emoji. That's great. If that makes sense. Wellness Central is good. So we have it all broken down. We have your home screen here. We have grades. Home is basically your home directory where you can find information where everything is in the class week by week. And it's a very easy scroll down menu, broken down according to the weeks. Weeks are modules, so to speak. And then we have grades. What's your grade? You will always know where the status is of your grades per week. I try to update, hopefully, around Wednesdays and Thursdays, give or take, depending on how it goes. So in between courses or at the end of the week, typically. So you'll always know your grade, where you stand. And Wellness Central, if there's anything that happens between us starting and the end of the semester, which is in December, then you can always talk to someone, me or outside resources for that. So we have protection set up in place for you guys, okay? All right, if you have any questions about that up to this point regarding Canvas, how it works, where to find information before I kind of go deeper into the specifics and how we can book things there. Okay, Laker, I'll answer the question on the assignment there and we'll get you set up, okay? Okay, Let's talk a little bit about, before I get to the syllabus, how this class works. Because I'll probably rename this to Welcome to the Class / How This Class Works. But right here, let me see if I can annotate, where it says how this class works. This is where I updated some links for the email. So I'll probably rename it to Welcome to Digital Illustration Course. But basically, this has links for the course projects. And also, if you need to make an appointment with me or book an appointment, you can email me or you can sign up online. So click here for classroom office hours. This is basically the Zoom link repeated. But right here where it says course projects and description, this is actually where the schedule is. And so if you would click onto it, it's going to open up the fall 2021 schedule of projects. Okay, graphic, so very interesting, right? So the idea here is that it's basically, we have a series of modules, and on the left, and I'll use the square here to kind of break that down. So project weeks here, there are subject to change depending on how we flow through the class, but we have projects here and things that we're working on between week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, 5/6, so they're modules really. And to the right, we have the dates. And then I have like these little colored boxes, which kind of represents beginning and end stages, right? So I kind of look at it kind of like a staircase, like we're going down the steps in the class, moving forward. And, we're on August the 26th. So right now we are in like our icebreaker syllabus module, kind of getting to know each other, breaking that down. And so we're like right here, right? And that's kind of where we're at. So we got August, we have the 26th there, right? And by next week, the 31st, we should be kind of done with that first module, if that makes sense, right? So the breakdown is always accordingly from the date on top, dates, so on and so forth. So by next week, so we hit September, then we'll be talking a little bit about the, let's take a look here, designer therapy. So learning habits, how much to charge clients. So we'll be covering that for a couple of days, and that's going to be on September the 2nd and the 7th there for like roughly those 2 modules, give or take, right? So that's kind of the idea with that. And so if you want to know where we're tracking and what we're scheduling, where we're going, then the project timeline is there to lead you in that process, okay? So you can always refer to that at any point to see where you're at, okay? Now, what about those free days? Do we have days off? Okay, we do. 2 days in the semester, okay? Labor Day, I think, is September 6th, but that's a Monday. So we don't meet Mondays, we meet Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? So the 2 days where we actually don't meet due to a holiday is the week of Thanksgiving. So on, at least for this class, right? If you have other classes on Mondays and Wednesdays, chances are you'll probably not be going to those classes. But on November the 25th, which I believe is a Thursday, it's Thursday, yeah, which is a Thursday, we're not meeting because it's Thanksgiving. So then Friday, of course, there's no class. So we won't be meeting for that time, okay? So that's gonna be the one day that we are gonna be on break. And then the other time where we don't meet is actually on the week of finals. So December 7th is finals week. So from December 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, that's finals week. And I don't wanna go too deep into the finals aspect, but basically the week of finals, we don't meet except for one day. And that's because you take finals for certain days, for certain classes, so that you don't get overwhelmed with like 4 tests in one day. So the way the college designed it is like, okay, then you're only gonna meet once, and that once will be the day of your final. Does that make sense? So the last week is basically just, we don't meet Tuesday, but we meet Thursday, right? at 6:30, and then we basically turn in your final, which is a portfolio of all the work for the last 20 weeks. Okay. And so we turn that in, and then we say, all right, have a great, Christmas, and maybe we'll see you again in Photoshop for, summer if I get the invite to teach that, right? But that's generally how it's going to work. So we have 2 days that we don't meet, and that's going to be on November 25th and December 7th. Every other day, for the most part, we will meet there. My birthday's on the 27th, so I'm good. So yeah, so it doesn't conflict. Otherwise, we would not be meeting on that day. Halloween is not a day that we meet either. So we're good. I know a couple of times students in the past like, hey, can we get Halloween off? And so, but this year we don't. It's on a Monday or Wednesday, Friday schedule. So you can ask your Monday, Wednesday, Friday teacher for a day off. I don't know. You can go that direction if you want. So there's that. Okay, if that makes sense, you give me a thumbs up emoji. So your schedules are there, and it flows pretty well, give or take. And we might add a couple days more here and there, depending. I have been notorious for extending due dates just so I can make sure the class just gets it and understands the content, right? So I have been known to flex certain dates or make extensions on dates because I'd rather have the majority of the class know and get it and walk away with the knowledge. Okay, so there's that. So I've been known to flex a little bit on the dates here and there. Okay. So that's course projects, timelines, and descriptions. That's available for you there. And again, if you have like suggestions or recommendations on how we can make this whole experience better for you guys, please feel free. You can always make suggestions. I always take every suggestion and improve every semester of the course. So everything that you've experienced here is based on other students' feedback, which is great. So feel free. Okay. Next thing we'll talk about is to book an appointment. I do have like a booking appointment system for setting up appointments. And that's here. It says, click here to book an appointment with Mr. A. When you click onto that, that'll basically take you to this little free app called Set More. At least on the free version, you can get some additional features for booking. And basically what you can do is just book open office hours with me. The way that works is that it'll take you basically to this page, Real Hondo Graphic Design, and you will click onto this area on the bottom, which is open office hours. There, it's free, obviously, but the app puts $signs and whatnot. But I had to put 0 just so I can get the free version. You say it's with me. Okay, searching for availability, and then basically the calendar will show you the dates where you can book, right? So basically hours are my office hours where you can talk to me would be like from 3 to 3:30. That's kind of like my universal office hours, right? But I also have a little time slot on Saturday mornings before the family wakes up. This is occasional, right? But if you need to book and want to talk to me on a Saturday because you're working for whatever reason, feel free. You can also book on a Saturday and we can talk. If it's like super emergency and you can only talk during class, on break, or a few minutes before or after class, I would say please let me know in advance. Okay, I try to be on time here in the house because our 4-year-old goes to bed pretty early, so I try to be like on time so that it doesn't interrupt the flow. If there's an issue or you need to talk, then we'll probably go off Zoom. I'll make a quick phone call. We'll talk over the phone. I'll be outside, while everyone is asleep, and we'll have a conversation if that's okay with you. So don't feel like this is like, doctrine or this is concrete. It's flexible. Again, if it's an emergency, I'm willing to flex the times for you. Okay. So it's all there. It's available for you. Okay. Few students like to book it. You get a little calendar notice, which is kind of nice. So, once you put that booking, you set the time for 3, you put in your cell phone, your information. You don't have to put in your address, and they'll send you a little email reminder. So students really like the email reminder. They put in their Gmail, their student email, and it gives them a reminder, hey, don't forget, you're gonna talk to your professor And it even sends me a little email reminder and a little card that goes into my phone. So it's a really cool way for me to know at all times when an appointment is booked, and it will just fill in the slot in my calendar automatically and update me automatically. So I've automated everything pretty well to maximize the effectiveness of everything. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, so good things, very nice, and that's available for you there. If that makes sense, you can give me a little thumbs up emoji, and then that'll work too. So you can book anytime and any place. So I love the automation side, okay? We also have some quick, thank you guys, appreciate it. Last things we'll mention is that there is some sheets here, and these are just basically like little quick key sheets using, I think, like frequently asked questions, some resources I think that you would benefit from. The quick key sheet guide is basically the quick keys for Illustrator. So, hey professor, what's the letter or the quick key to print? Or what's the quick key to change the brush size? Even though it's 2015, it hasn't really changed much for the 2021 version, right? So for each tool, I like this one because it's really graphic, but this is a nice little sheet that you can print out at home. And basically it'll say, hey, what's that tool? How do I quick key activate it with my keyboard and not so much clicking it on my mouse? And so it has the tool and the graphic there, really useful. I always like putting this up on my wall and just remembering where the tools are. Quick keys are designed to be that quick, to save you seconds, which adds up to minutes and eventually hours in the long run. So definitely useful. For those of us that are taking Photoshop with Professor Gardos or Holden, I believe it is, then we do have the 2015 Photoshop version, which is again the same thing for 2021. And I like this because it's graphic. So I apologize if this is gonna suck up all your cyan ink on your printer, but it's useful, it's resourceful, and I think you'll enjoy it. And again, it has the picture of the tool followed by the quick key with it, and even the PC and the Mac equivalents as well. So this is great to print out, put it on your wall, and get into the hang of and the practice of quick keys, because it will make your design time go much faster, if that makes sense. So students like to click with their mouse on the toolbar, and that's great in the beginning. Eventually you want to evolve to hitting those quick keys with your left hand, drawing with the right, saves. Again, seconds adds to minutes, and those minutes will add up to hours saved. And time is money in this field, so you want to maximize your time as much as possible. For those that are like in the profession, you would know what I mean. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't have, I didn't learn about PCs until I started working, and it was a stress ball. And so my first PC design experience or practice came working in the field, and that was a very stressful job. I had to learn quick keys or PCs and how that stuff worked on the field as I was working while making these crazy collections. So it's a lot. But shortcuts are really helpful, okay? I'll get to your questions in just a second. If you want to type in your question in the chat, go for it, and I'll answer it right there. I just want to mention 2 more links, and then we'll answer that question for you, okay? How-to videos. I like to use Google Docs for assignments. So you'll see as we kind of move into certain exercises that I'm all about giving you templates from Google Slides, and then you make a copy of that template and fill it in, or create slide presentations, right? So for those that don't know what I'm talking about, Google Slides is like what it's Google's version of Microsoft PowerPoint, but now it's basically the industry standard, or approaching industry standard, and a lot of high schoolers are taking that, and basically you create presentations there. Not everyone knows how to make a copy. Not everyone knows how to link share. These videos are designed, they're YouTube videos that basically will keep you help in those areas specifically, and they're based on like frequently asked questions that people have had. So they're videos from conference on how to do it. They're like 4 minutes long, or no more than really 6 minutes, I think it is. And again, you can Google this stuff, but I just took it upon myself to make a couple of videos. 3 minutes was this one. The other one was 4 minutes. They're really quick, but they're there to kind of maximize your time and get things done very quickly. Okay. So there's that as well. And if you know Google Sheets, great. And you know Google Slides, even better. But it's there to kind of get you going and get you motivated on just Google in general and using slides and their tools. So if you have a Real Hondo email, great. Or if you have a personal email, you can use that too. We'll go over more details in the weeks to come, okay? So there's that, okay? All right, if that makes sense, you can give me a little thumbs up emoji too. But it's pretty much all in one page and then kind of moving from there, okay? All right, so now we'll talk about the big question, okay? Adobe Illustrator. Professor, what the hell is going on with Adobe Illustrator? Okay, here's the situation, okay? So I gave you the link before the emails were activated, right? Because there was a discrepancy in terms of when those emails we activated. They technically should have been activated 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then we find out Adobe did not activate them. And then we find out they activated like 48 hours ago, right? So for a few of you guys, you did exactly what you're supposed to do, but it happened before your emails were activated. So now you're in this weird situation where you have free 7-day trial, and it's asking you to pay for it, okay? And if you're in that situation, for one, don't pay for it. What I would do is that if you can get support, if you can contact Adobe directly and let them know that you are a college student that is going onto the enterprise account, or you're a college student accessing the college free account, then they'll basically say, log out of the system, log out of Adobe in the app, and log out from the web browser. And then they'll wait 24 to 48 hours and log back in. So they have to reset it on their side, which I feel like tends to go a little bit faster than us doing it on our side. In fact, what we do is that we have to talk to Adobe and basically say that. So I would say take the lead and make that email and let them know, I'm supposed to have this free under my college education account, and here's my email, can you please reset it, okay? And they'll make that effort for you. The good news is that I anticipated this would happen. So if we start, this week to make those adjustments, by the time we kick off, everyone has it activated. Does that kind of make sense? Because I've seen it time and time again. Adobe was not anticipating to do this more than a semester, and now it's been almost 2 years, right? They're doing phenomenal by offering everyone access to the app, but they're putting a lot of work towards activating, deactivating every semester. And really, I think they should just like leave it open, but they don't want to lose. They have to make a profit somehow, right? So they're trying to like stay on top of it on a 20-week basis, as opposed to just checking every 2 years, right? But I understand where they're coming from. They just don't want a flood of free subscribers and then lose track of it, right? So you guys did everything right. What I would say is that if you are under this free 7-day trial, then email support, right? There's a support button, and basically say, here's my Real Hondo email. Please switch me to free college account. And they understand, they will know exactly what the situation is, and they'll get you set up for it. And they'll even say, log out completely from the browser and from the app, wait, and click this link and reinitialize. Does that make sense? So it will take a minute, but I would say let's begin the process like this week. So by the time we're ready to go, it's all activated, everything's ready to go, and we resolved all the technical issues. This is probably the biggest technical issue. And so I just rolled it out early to kind of handle it one by one with more time. Normally I wait until after, but students tend to delay. And so I rather just get the ball rolling beforehand. And a few students even made that suggestion, like, just give us the activation right when the class starts so we can like troubleshoot it ourselves, but we need time to troubleshoot. It's like, okay, great. So we'll roll it out early. So this was expected. And, thank you guys for your patience, but definitely start shooting those emails out. Use your Real Hondo email to contact them so they can reply, and then they see your email there, and then they get the reset going. Okay, so that's available for you. And when you do have your activations, maybe shoot me a quick email just saying, hey, professor, green light, everything's good. And then we'll check in, every time we meet just to kind of tally and see like, how's everyone doing on their installations? Because there's that issue. And then there's the, oh snap, I didn't know my computer was too slow issue. And so we have people out there that think their computer from 1994 can run this program. No, it doesn't. You may need to delete some videos, movies, photos. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But and you may need to delete some games off your systems just to make room for a program. Oh, sorry. But you signed up for the class, you might have to make some room, right? So so go for it, right? Like make room, start setting it up, you'll be good. And for some of you, you'll find out that your computer is just too slow for this program, right? If that's the case, then there are some things you can do to speed up performance. Worst come to worst, if it's an absolute emergency, and there's enough computers available, we do have some computers available for students that are loaners, but it's on a case-by-case basis and it's by emergencies, right? So if you have an issue and it qualifies as an emergency and we troubleshooted everything, then chances are we do have even backup computers for students that they can pick up at the college, but you would have to go to the college to pick it up. Okay, so so there's that issue. And if you want to upgrade computers and you have questions on how to upgrade, we can have a conversation, and maybe it's time for you to purchase an upgrade, right? Who knows? But everyone's different, so let's try to install it. Let's try to see how it performs. And if it's just too slow and it takes too long, which it shouldn't be the case, especially in this program because it uses smaller size files, then that's a red flag that we probably need to start cleaning things out, deleting old programs, games, or picking up a loaner computer, or even purchasing an upgrade or upgrading a computer. Okay, so there's those possibilities that might be the case there. Okay, the MacBook Air M1 with the M1 chip that is the least expensive computer from Apple's line, like $1,000. It does pretty good. It's actually quite nice for the cost and for the processing speed. I bought one for my wife, and I put Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, pretty stable. So I never thought a MacBook Air would do the same as a MacBook Pro using these programs, but it does, and it saves almost like $500 or $600. So if some of you are interested in purchasing a completely new computer, like an Apple computer, then you can get this program on a nice computer, high-speed computer, for as low as $1,000, maybe $900 if you're a student with a student discount. But that's really good compared to buying a MacBook Pro, because now we're hitting a point where these computers are actually as good as MacBook Pros for now. And I think that's because Apple's promoting their new chips. And people are kind of like, I don't know, bro. They're kind of skeptical about it. I bought it. I tested it. It's good. It works quite nice. So there's that. If you're a PC person, I think the Alesis Pro or one of the computers, the same price. You can get it even on Amazon. Does just as good. So if you have cost issues or questions, let me know, and we'll discuss it. And then I can even give you a rundown on the performance. But right now, this is a good time to upgrade for less money and have it last for a good 5, 6, 7 years if you decide to. Okay, if that helps you can give me a little thumbs up emoji. But yeah, this is an interesting time to buy a computer. You decide to buy a computer. But again, if cost is an issue, we do have loaners available too. Okay, cool. All right, I know that's a lot of info. That's why I'm recording this. But again, we could always revert back to the video if there's specific questions or issues and things of that sort. But these are just frequently asked questions, things I like to cover, and I think it's about time we took a little bit of a break. So let me look at my chat here to see if there's any questions that I can address before we go to break. And then when we get back, we'll quickly go over the syllabus and we'll get some design time in. All right, I think we all want to design, right? So we'll take a look at it. Okay, how am I going to download Adobe Illustrator? Okay, we just mentioned that a few seconds ago, so hopefully I answered that question. Getting it for free, I did answer that as well. We have to reset and possibly wait for or install through the instructions that are on my screen here. And Adobe Illustrator wasn't available for me to install. If it wasn't available for install, then you may need to open up storage. So wasn't available could mean I can't purchase it, or it wasn't available, I don't know, means I can't download it. Two very different things. You can still buy it and not download it because the computer doesn't have room for it, if that makes sense. So if it's I don't have room for it, then we may need to delete movies, photos, videos, right? Things that you are okay with deleting to make room for the program, okay? So there's that possibility. Is it fine if we have our own personal one? Yes, if you have your own account already with Adobe, then that's fine. My recommendation is like maybe email them and let them know that you want the student discount because you are now a student, and there is a nice student discount for like 20 bucks a month for all the apps versus like 50, 60 bucks a month. So if you qualify for that, take a picture of your ID or maybe a screenshot of your schedule and send a message to Adobe saying, hey, I am now a student. I would like to have this under the student discount. And they'll be like, great, no problem at all. So I would say that saves you like 30, 40 bucks a month, and that's a lot of money per year. So I would look at that as a possibility. Look over the syllabus, my own. I saw some books that said they were suggested. Does that mean we don't have to get it? Yes, you do not have to get it. We don't, we learn by doing. And so everything you're gonna pick up is by doing, and I will reference links, but there's so many books out there, but honestly, at the end of the day, you just gotta do it. And so designing is doing, and I'll refer to you links and resources that you can use, but I've been doing enough so that pretty much you can learn this stuff with the right information. You know, if I had to recommend books on just theory, one book that's been really helpful that I hold on to is, I'll share it later. It was Thinking About Design by Paul Rand. Paul Rand is the godfather of graphic design. And I read his book on thoughts on design, and his thoughts on design that were written back like almost 80 years ago still apply today. It is ridiculous. It is like 20 pages, well written, but thoughts on design I think is still relevant for today. So you know, I think it's good. I think this is a good perspective on design and what matters and what's important. And if you're starting out, you're going to be like, wow, there's a lot of things that I need to look at. Yes. You know, this person started out in art, and basically his principles still apply today. I mean, I've done it. I've been through this field almost 20 years. It's still applicable today to everything that he's saying. So take a look at it. It's only $16, and I put it in the chat. We don't cover this book, but I think this is good reading to enrich. Oh, sorry, Louis, I sent it to you back. I think this is good reading to enrich just your experience and your understanding of design, because he is probably a good example of how to think about design, okay? Which is critically thinking about design. So good designers are critical thinkers. We'll cover that when we get to principles of design, okay? Okay, any other questions? Let's take a look here. I think I covered mostly. Due dates, everything like that. Okay, great. I think we're good. Boom, boom, boom. All right, great. I think it is time for a break. Don't you think? So let's go ahead and take a break. Let's go for about, let's go like what, 5 minutes? We'll go, you know what? Let's go 10 minutes. How about that? Let's take a 10-minute break. It's 8 o'clock right now. We'll kick back again at 8:10. And then we will quickly review the syllabus, get that name card going, and answer any questions that you might have, okay? All right, guys, let's take a 10, and we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, let me go ahead and pause this video while we're at it too. Okay, all right, guys, so welcome back. Before we talk about the syllabus, I just wanted to just quickly show you the video and and how the videos are being embedded. Like I said, every time we do a module, you'll always see a video, colon, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, whatever the day is, live session recording title. And when you click onto it, then I provide you with 2 sources for it. One is the video embed, which look at that, I have even like a little title and everything. But basically the way it goes is that if you're accessing this on your mobile device, this is a YouTube embed, right? So this is a YouTube link that's embedded. So it should work for any device. Or for whatever reason, if YouTube is not working, then you can always click here for the video link, which is, let me annotate. But I give you 2 sources to use your video, right? Oh, let's get the box. Here we go. So, so obviously you can push play in the middle there, or you can say click here for video link. And when you click onto that, it'll open up the Zoom link that is recorded. So I provide 2 sources for the videos. The Zoom link, in case the YouTube video fails, or vice versa, right? So if there's any way you want to access it, you can click the link, open a new tab on your mobile browser or your desktop computer, or you can literally push play here in front of the class with a board, or in the app, in the mobile app, and it'll play for you there too. Okay, because it's on the premiere stage, then it's still playing and running, but you can always go back, refer to it, pause, play, get any other areas of the presentation there. Okay. And I'll try my best to add chapters too. So then that way you can jump to the critical pieces, right? So, when does he talk about this? Then I'll try to put chapters so that you click onto it and jump to it as well, okay? So, and it should be mobile friendly as well. I tried it out on my phone. It's just really helpful if you just wanna listen here or if you're on the go, or you're driving or walking around campus, driving to work, taking a break, and you just want to watch it on your phone really quickly, it's available that way. Okay, so we try to make it very easy and very user-friendly for students, and that's one of the key things that I made for that. Okay, all right, so hopefully that's very helpful for our students as well. Okay, let's jump to the syllabus. And I don't want to go too deep into the syllabus, just to give everybody some time to design. And basically, if we go to syllabus, the signature is conveniently located at the top. So since we're online, I'll just say that first exercise where you can get some points is right here. So all you have to do, after you read it, of course, is to click here to sign your syllabus. And when you click onto that, you basically sign off, okay? And it'll say your name, your email, and that you signify you read the syllabus, including policies on grading assignments and other guidelines, by typing your name below, okay? So once you get that in, that'll be instant points for you, and that'll be considered a I agree and I sign off, okay? I know it's nothing too fancy where you get to scribble, but I think it's just helpful just to have your email as a validation, okay? So that'll be for you, and you can sign off, type, and or type off, and then you'll be ready to go, and then that'll be your second exercise, actually, because the first exercise was the little something about me, and just sharing a little bit about yourself. So if you shared and put it there, instant points. Sign off on this, another round of points, and we accumulate as we go, okay? So that's how we set that up. All right, so let's kind of go over the syllabus there. I kind of mentioned a lot of things on the first day, so I'm gonna jump around on the things that matter. So we will kind of start off with just maybe the purposes, okay? And what we're trying to do in the class, right? So essentially, this is, like I said, an introductory course. Because it is an introductory course, we're going to cover basics, right? We're starting from the I don't know anything standpoint, and if you're an intermediate or slightly more advanced, then this class might not be for you, because we start assuming that we don't even know anything about computers, right? So we start very, very basic and kind of work up from there. We don't go deep into that because you should be taking a computer class or a computer foundations class before taking this class. But essentially we cover the basics, right? And what does that mean? Principles of design, right? Typography, color, illustration techniques, layout, technical, creative methods. We cover those, right? On an introductory level, okay? What are the professional practices? There are exercises, projects that are given to you, and each week, some of those weeks can turn into 2 or 3 depending on the project, but they're exercises that are given to you so you can do at home. And it's basically 2-dimensional design, layout, applications, and basic tools of Adobe Illustrator. Our central program is Adobe Illustrator, okay? I know there's a lot of free stuff and a lot of other softwares, but we're gonna stay with Illustrator. So most other free softwares are just clones, copycats of Illustrator to begin with. So we'll start with the original one, right? And we can have debates on which one is better than the other. But the industry standard is Adobe Illustrator, okay? So we're gonna cover that. So that kind of generalizes what it is, right? This course is part of the associate degree in graphic design, and certificates also count for graphic design, branding and identity design, and publication design certificates. So it does apply to those as well. And if you're looking to transfer, it is a transferable class too. So if you're looking to go from this class to a Cal State or UC or private school, then they do transfer over. Just make sure you talk to your counselor just to make sure that they get sent to the right schools, okay? What are the actual objectives? All right, well, there's 6 things that I'm guaranteeing we're going to cover in this class. One is obviously the fundamental use of tools and menus in the Adobe Illustrator program. We will cover design, graphic design imagery and digitally generated vector-based images, which is basically a fancy word for drawing using vector tools. You'll be able to research, conceptualize, render a vector-based design solution. Basically, I know how to use the program to design something. Number 4, students will be able to have college-level writing. So when we do principles of design, we will do sort of a basic writing review. Hey, how do you write an effective paragraph? How do we write the principles of design? It's going to feel a little bit of a stretch, but again, writing is an indication of your thinking, but I also understand that some of us may not have the best writing skill. So we're going to cover how to write, how to see, and bring them together, okay? So the first thing we'll actually cover is how to see, right? That's the most important thing. And then we'll talk about how to write it out, okay? Number 5, you'll be able to demonstrate principles and elements of design. So, hey, this is my focal point. Here's my contrast. Here's my color. Here is my asymmetrical balance, right? There's my variety. There's repetition. We'll get that down. We'll get the 6 fundamental core principles of design off and running for you, and you'll be able to articulate it at the same time. And number 6, present your work. Normally, if we were in the classroom, you would basically print it out and put it on a blackboard. But we'll basically be presenting it in a digital portfolio or Google slide, and that's just as good, okay? So those are the 6 objectives that we're gonna cover in the class that you're gonna do here. Obviously, we're meeting Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 till 9:40, but we're actually gonna be finishing more closer to 9:30. If that's okay with everybody, 10 minutes early, I think we'll be fine. These first couple of days, obviously, we're gonna flex the times here and there because we're starting out, but eventually we'll get to 9:30 and finish off there. Okay, so we have that going on. Lab assignments, group projects, we'll be doing that as well. Microsoft Office, now I have to change that to Google Slides, so we'll cover that. Grading is a standard grading rubric. So basically anything that's scored from 0 to 100. So 90 to 100% is basically an A, 80 to 89 B, 70 to 79% C, and anything from 60 to 69 is D, and under 60 is obviously incomplete. And over 50% of the projects in this class is half your grade. So we put heavy emphasis on those projects, okay? So projects are big, and I'm gonna have to kind of tab that out a little bit, so I wanna fix that. But basically 55% of the weight of the projects is 55% of the grade. And then exercises are 30%, citizenship, participation 10, homework 5. So it's all projects in this class. So that's where we weigh heavily in the grading. It's all the projects. And it makes sense because we learn by doing. So we're gonna do that and we'll be good. And it'll be good. All right, so we'll be doing really nice there. All right, outline of courses, pretty straightforward. Digital workspaces, graphic design basics or digital graphic design 101, vector applications, what is Adobe Illustrator, typography, printing, project strategies, they're all embedded within projects in themselves. So we kind of hit every area at the same time. And of course, portfolios at the end. So these are being sort of the course outline and formats. Suggested textbooks, not required, but suggested, okay? They're helpful and they're great references. So if at any point after this class, you feel like you like to have a book available and know some tricks, that's great. Mostly everybody does YouTube for that. But Adobe Illustrator Classroom in a Book, really resourceful, it's helpful, nice reference to go to. But if you can find similar ones online and YouTube, go for it. Stephen Heller, the Graphic Design Idea Book. This was recommended actually by Professor Gardos. Inspiration from 15 Masters is great. There's a graphic design history class. I would recommend that because it's good to know where all the who are all the most influential or influential graphic designers in history are. It's debatable as well. There's so many designers out there that do some really amazing work that don't get enough credit, but there are some that have massive global influence, if that makes sense. So definitely check it out because nothing is, I don't say everything is original. I think everything is sort of a rerun of something else in a different context. So, we'll talk about that when we get to t-shirts. When we do t-shirts, I will show you clearly that, Shepard Fairey, that does Obey clothing, clearly influenced by Russian constructivism, right? Of the turn of the century, the styles are, and he quotes that, right? So those are very similar styles, different contexts, right? So something that was like anti-government is applied to like anti-establishment in America, right? Which is very, West Coast or I guess urban art related. So themes do kind of rhyme, or they rerun, and some people even say that knowing your history is just a great way to reference for your projects, right? Not copy, but more so influence, right? Or have a direction, and understanding context is helpful. Okay, if you have no idea what I just said, basically it's like how you say it and the graphic language in which you say it with, right? So it's all contextual at the end of the day, which is why it's critical thinking. You can have a notebook, obviously if you like, but we have videos and everything's online, USB flash drive for your storages, you have your computer, of course. Definitely want to participate as much as possible in class. Too many absences means, 3 times how many days, 3 hours times how many days. So if you miss 2 days, that's 6 hours. You miss 2 weeks, obviously that's 12 hours. It starts to add up after a while. So try your best. Let me know if you have to go out of town for whatever reason, or something comes up or an emergency happens. I'll be flexible if you just communicate with me, okay? Just keep me in the loop, and then that way I can kind of work it out. But if you disappear, or we don't even have communication, or I don't even get a reply, then you're more than likely not taking the class seriously, and chances are you probably overcommitted or just have way too much on your plate that you didn't anticipate. So that's really helpful. So as long as we keep communication, that's going to be really helpful. To my first year college students that are working, don't work full time. If you're working full time and taking full-time classes, you're gonna burn out really quick, okay? I would highly recommend, if you're taking full-time classes, right, 12 units, 4 classes, work part-time. I asked my students last semester if their counselor ever talked to them about this, and they were like, no, and I was shocked. When I was going to college, that was like the rule. Like, you do not work more than part-time when you're going to college, full-time. You're just gonna burn out, and it's gonna be crazy. You need time to do your work, okay? So part-time means 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday, no weekends or something similar to that. And you go to school full-time. Okay, does that make sense? If you're going to school, if you're working full-time, then maybe take part-time college, right? No more than 2 classes. See how that works? So really helpful, guys. But I'm shocked at how many counselors do not talk about this. So if you are working and this is clicking for you and resonating, then tell your boss tomorrow, hey, I need to go part-time. Are you willing to do this? Okay. Because if they say no and you're doing this full-time, it will be a little bit of a shock. That's good, Nydia, that your counselor said that to you. So good for you. So does that make sense to my first year college students? If it does, give me a little thumbs up emoji. Cool, got it, get it, good. That's great. Okay. I had one student, I love her, she's great, but she couldn't tell her boss, and she was too shy or something like that. Eventually she did, but she was like listening in on class from work. And when it came time for me to call her name, she like logged out. Oh my God. I'm like, come on, I know you're working. You only told me you work at a coffee shop and we're meeting in the morning. So, so it was interesting. But we fixed it, right? And we had that conversation. So I'm telling you guys early right now, okay? So that's really, really helpful, okay? If you have a family out there, totally get it. I don't know. I mean, there's so many ways if you have a family, but for those folks that have kids and you're making it work, try to see if you can get support as best as possible while you're putting in those hours, okay? So I know it gets crazy with kids and whatnot. So I would say try to devote some time, maybe look at it from the part-time angle, right? Try not to take more than 2 classes. If you have great support systems in place, then leverage those support systems so they can put in time and design. If you got to put kids to sleep, put them to sleep, do the work afterwards. If you can do that, if you're a night person, if you're a morning person, try to do it before the kids wake up. And you'll get some things done there too. Okay. I know I'm might be repeating myself, but that's helpful. So for my family folks, if that works for you, you can give me a little thumbs up emoji. Yeah, I'm gonna try to knock this out, before the kids wake up or after they go to sleep, and then that's helpful there too. Okay. Okay. Student attendance policy we talked about, written work policies. Obviously, plagiarism is a no-go, so let's not try to copy writings out there. Computer lab procedures. We're not in the lab, but if we're ever in the lab on campus, then we obviously want to not break the equipment. That's pretty obvious. Procedures, we obviously do warm-ups. That's our activities or our discussion posts. Common vocabulary, we always will have new verbiage and vocabulary for each exercise. And agenda obviously will be online based on the week format on Canvas. So that's sort of an agenda already built in, okay? You can take notes, of course, or refer to your recordings on YouTube, which is helpful. And of course, discipline-wise, rarely are there warnings about behavior or how we do things online. But if there's issues, obviously I'll give you a warning, send a message, we'll have a quick conversation. If it escalates or repeats, normally it's a one-on-one conference with students. Rarely does it go to 3 or 4, which is a phone call with dean or academic affairs or referral to dean of arts and cultural programs. Never had an issue. Everyone's been pretty responsible, taking it seriously. Never had an issue regarding these things, right? So that's helpful, okay? If work is turned in late, then typically it will fall under half credit. But if there's reasons, let me know. There's obviously ways to, we can work extensions out and things of that sort. Just keep me in the loop. Communication is key, okay? And of course, diversity and inclusivity statement, right? We are fair to all colors, creeds, races. And so we want to make a safe place to students of color, dreamers, students that are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, intersex, asexual, okay? So we want to make sure that we support all students and provide a safe haven for everyone, okay? I always like this comment on the bottom: success in this class is dependent on participation and motivation. So if you commit to the hard work, doing it, it's possible to be a successful, quote, average student and surpass that of a, quote, naturally talented student, right? So welcome to the class there, guys, and you got this, okay? So that's probably been the most casual way of doing a syllabus that I can remember. So if that makes sense, please sign at the top, click away when you have a moment, and then you're good from there. Okay. All right. Any questions, issues, concerns? Definitely type it in. But I think we're ready to do an exercise and on our name card for our name card. So I think we're ready to rock on that. Okay. Let's talk about that. It's a fun exercise. Takes a little bit of time. I'm debating if we're going to finish early or not. We may potentially do that, depending. I'm going to skip the Zoom protocols and go all the way to the bottom here. And let's go. Oh. All right. Okay, so the name card design. So the goal for this exercise is to basically design an interest card with your name on it. Okay. What does that mean? Basically, what we're new. We don't know where everyone's from, and obviously, everyone has their cameras off, and we have black screens out there, right? So every now and again, I actually will ask you guys to turn on your cameras, and this is one of those brief times, right? So one of the things we're gonna do, and you don't have to turn it on right now, guys. It's only when we present, right? So feel free, and everyone's like, so basically this is how it works, okay? You're basically gonna take a sheet of paper, okay? Any type of paper is fine, right? It could be lined, double-sided, preferably blank, right? And you're just simply going to, and let me just stop sharing here. You're gonna basically simply fold it in half, okay? And you can just kind of take that sheet of paper and just fold it in half down the middle, vertically. So you get something that kind of looks like a little pamphlet sideways, okay? On this paper, you're simply going to design your name, okay? And your name can be designed however way you want, okay? You can use any color, black and white color, different types of paper if you want to. It's meant to be something that will kind of give me an idea of who you are and what you do and where you're from, right? The intent of this is so that you can design it, right? So obviously you want to design it with your name. And then maybe you want to add some images, icons, or maybe incorporate in the letters things that you find interesting, right? So for example, I do this exercise with index cards when we're in person typically. So, let's say, like the student here, they designed their name, right? And they had an interest in art. So they drew like elements in the letters and they put like a little horse there because they like, riding horses and they like music. That's one example, right? It doesn't have to be exactly like that. Some students don't have much drawing experience, and that's totally cool. Maybe you want to design your lettering and then design graphics or icons around that, around your name. But I can read it from the screen. I can read it from afar, right? So we want that to be a bit of a focal point. Maybe you want to design a framing device around it, right? Put some borders or frame it however way you want. Have some fun with it, right? Student likes baseball, LA Dodgers, wants to go to UCLA, likes music as well, right? Maybe you want to design a complete background, right? And that's totally fine too. So if you want to design a complete background, go for it. Like this student basically designed a beach setting. They like the beach, like burgers, very simple. Again, these are from, high school level students. So it could be as simple as this. It could be as in-depth as you want it to, but that's going to basically be the exercise. And when we're done, you're basically going to come on screen like you see me here, and you're gonna kind of share your card and share things that you find interesting and talk a little about yourself, right? You'll be surprised how it kind of helps break the ice, gives us a chance to talk, and gets me to kind of get an understanding of what brings you to the class, what your interests are, and how, and just generally like anything that you like to share with everyone else. Okay. I think it's helpful. I think it's a way to kind of break the ice a little bit. And so I really like doing this exercise at the beginning, and it's a great way to share. Okay. So that's going to be our format, and you can approach it every way you want. You can use pen, pencil, color pencil, markers, crayons, whatever is available around you. Have some fun with it, get creative with it. And then you're all set and ready to rock and roll. Okay. When we are ready to talk, then I'll give you like 2 things to say, name and what brings you to the class. Okay, but we'll worry about the first part, which is just designing the card. Okay. If you don't have any colors and just pencils, go with pencils, right? I'll think of it as a black and white design. and and go heavy on the contrast, right? Like you can play with that, right? So that's totally fine if you want to go that level as well. Okay, so I think it's all about being inventive, creative, resourceful. Anything and everything goes, right? So have some fun with it, and then we'll kind of take it from there. Now it's 8:30. I'm debating how long we should take, but how many of you guys want to take pretty much the weekend and have this ready for Tuesday, and then we'll kind of pick it up on Tuesday and kind of do these presentations, because obviously I don't want to rush anyone. I'm starting to feel some I'm tired vibes out there. So, okay, yes, please. Okay, some of us are here who will prefer that. And man, you guys are quick to type, man. Okay, sounds good. I was preparing for tonight. Yeah, you can totally knock it out tonight if you want to. If you're awake, go for it. If you want to do it right now, go for it right now. Tuesday, prefer. Can you do it digitally? Yes. If you have some digital experience, you want to knock it out digitally, go for it. I'm okay with that. Does it have to be by hand? I guess that kind of refers to digital. If you have some digital experience, let's see what you have. I'm curious to know what you know on the program. Okay, so you can do it digitally. I'm okay with that as well. All right, looks like everyone definitely wants to take some time and call it a night. Okay, all right, I'm totally okay with this. I've spoken I've spoken a lot, so I think everyone deserves a little bit of time to do that. Okay, one of the few times I talk this much to you guys, basically. So, all right, perfect. So let's go ahead and do that. That'll be our assignment on Tuesday. Let's be ready. So, so ladies, gents, right? Make sure you're dolled up. Nice fresh shower or wash your face. I don't know. And just be ready for Tuesday. We're going to ask you to turn on your camera for at least 1 minute to 2 minutes. I might push it to 3 or 4, God forbid. But, I would love to learn a little bit about you, where you're from, what you do. And I think it's going to be a nice way to kind of get to know everyone and for the class to meet everyone else. Okay. So, so I totally understand that as well. Okay. Last things I'm thinking about, if you're trying to add the class, please email me directly and ask for your ad code. So we can put you on the ad code so I can send you your ad code. Okay. So make sure to do that. And then if you're looking to add, we have to also add your email to the Adobe Illustrator package. So give it a couple of days to install. So if your email hasn't been activated for Adobe Illustrator and you're adding this week, try to give it a week before that installation takes place, because you guys are technically adding while the first round of emails was sent to Adobe, if that makes sense. Okay. Excited, glad we have more time. Cool. It's gonna look good. Excited. All right, that's great. I'm excited for you guys too. And you got time to work on it. Okay, take the time and sleep. Go to sleep. Okay, take a break and go to sleep. All right, guys. I gotta go. Have a good night. Have a wonderful weekend. I am here for you. Let me know if you need anything between now and next Tuesday. I'll be around. And welcome to the class. Okay, I gotta put a 4-year-old to bed. All right, guys. We'll see you then. Have a good night.
Professor. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good night. I'll see you on Tuesday.
All right, Laker. We'll see you then. Peace. See you guys. Be safe. We'll see you on Tuesday. Laters. Cool.
So I'm still having an issue with